Now further this discussion by welcoming Professor Luke Sinwell from the Sociology Department out at the University of Johannesburg. Professor, it's a great pleasure having you on the show today. Welcome. So the news are that the first provincial phase of the national dialogue has actually kicked off out in the Northwest amid those heavy criticisms as well as opposing views, all right, preceding the official beginning of the event. So a key GNU partner, they're also announcing its withdrawal from participating just last week, as you've heard in our preceding clip. But let's discuss the purpose of these talks, according to you.
Well, the purpose of the talks is appealing. You know, I would agree that South Africa, the government is experiencing a democracy and a legitimacy crisis. And at face value, an idea for a democratic dialogue to bring civil society, government, business interests, a wide range of stakeholders together to come up with a common vision about how we can solve the political economic crisis seems appealing, you know, at face value. But if you look deeper beneath the surface, and at the history of national dialogue, you can see that these dialogues don't actually always bring about what we had hoped or what they had promised.
That's a very interesting point, right, Professor? Because I want to ask you, do you then foresee these engagements actually delivering the desired results, which is to basically highlight the day-to-day challenges that are faced by our people? What do you think government doesn't know about our current and actual struggles by the normal everyday people on the ground? And how will just talking, actually assist if there isn't a will to effect as well as implement those tangible strategies and policies?
I mean, I think by now the government knows what the problems are in terms of poverty, joblessness, crime, gender-based violence. And on top of that, the vast majority of popular movements, I don't think, are going to be present at this forum. So we know what the problem is, but then now it's like what you're saying, it's more of a talk shop, but it's more than that, because when you come to a forum that the president of a country invites you to, they do not come there without a predetermined set of agendas. There's no such thing as fully inclusive and democratic dialogue that takes place. There is always a set of rules, policies, norms, and procedures that is in place, and it is designed in order to enable those in power to continue with their program of maintaining the status quo. So there's been a long history. This is an example whereby we are actually democratizing. Democracy isn't always a good thing. In this case, we are democratizing inequality and poverty. So we had the RDP, the Reconstruction and Development Program, a wide range of voices. Then we moved on to GEAR. The growth employment redistribution. We moved away from people-driven and people-centered development to profit-driven development. We had an inclusive process that led to one of the most progressive constitutions in the world, but you can't eat the Constitution, and the Constitution can't get you land, it can't get you a job, and it can't get you a house, but it does protect the private interests of an elite few, the property and the people who benefited from apartheid and colonialism.
You know, Professor, these concerns have actually been raised, and I suppose there was some sort of hope that there would be even more public engagement as well as comment around how, of course, this dialogue is going to be, around the inclusivity of how this dialogue is actually going to be affected. So some civil society organizations have already expressed their displeasures about this process potentially being non-inclusive, as you've said, and will basically sideline, those who need their voices to be heard the most. So what's your overall observation, and how can then the preparatory committee look at these concerns before going ahead maybe to other provinces where they haven't actually begun with these engagements?
This is not the first time that there's a national program to enable grassroots citizens, ordinary people at various localities, wards, and provinces to participate in decision making and to come up with a plan that can empower their communities. There are, for example, integrated development plans in municipalities, which are supposed to be people-driven budgets. But again, people don't usually have a say in those, and they have even been used in order to legitimate the eviction of people from their homes. We've also had the Tumamina campaign, where the president went door to door to listen to people all across the country. We had the Letsema campaign, where we needed a social compact between the people and the government so that in unity we could come up and find a way forward. But these things are repeating themselves, and so we end up, or the government ends up, running in circles. And so we go around and around and around, and we're moving, but we end up in the same place and with the same problems in the economy, the structural nature of the economy that prevents the redistribution of wealth and jobs for the vast majority of people.
And I mean, Professor, let's be pragmatic and both practical as well, taking into account our current socio-economic challenges. What pressing issues, for example, do you see being highlighted, and how do you see then the talks bringing about rapid solutions to these? Because trust me, this will definitely give people some sense of a new as well as heightened hope. And I suppose if there are directives on delivery timelines, citizens could very well revolt or feel misled. Formerly, citizens used to protest when they were unhappy about certain services in this country. We have slowly shifted from this narrative, right? But promises by government just need to be kept. Bottom line, Professor.
I mean, it's definitely the case that we want the promises that the government makes to be kept, and that we want ordinary people to have a say in the policies, in determining the policies that are affecting all of us. But the fact of the matter is that these kinds of forums under a neoliberal, market-oriented government that introduces policies which have resulted in South Africa becoming, according to the World Bank, the most unequal country in the world. Which has happened over the last 30 years. Right now, we are the most unequal country in the world. As long as these same policies are being implemented, there is only going to be hopes that are raised for a better country, for a new tomorrow, and empty promises. And then 3 years from now, we'll have another forum, another national discussion where we say there's a democratic crisis and we need to have a forum whereby we all participate and come up with a way to solve the various crises that are affecting all of our lives, from crime, gender-based violence, joblessness, houselessness, across the board. These aren't going to be solved in my understanding from this kind of convention, although they could make band-aids to fix things here and there.
Well, at a hefty cost of 700 million rand there, Professor. Thank you so much for your input this afternoon. Very eye-opening conversation there with Professor Luke Sinwell, who's from the Sociology Department at the University of Johannesburg, also weighing in on the national dialogue that is commenced today out in the Northwest.